Welcome to A Breath of Fresh Career. This is Justin Kane, Season 2, Episode 15. I'm joined here by a dear friend of mine, Jay Modi. Jay is the CEO and co-founder of Revolutionary Integration Group, Inc. They are a disability-owned enterprise. We're going to talk about that. Before I pass the mic to Jay, let me do a quick intro. This guy is a results-focused technology executive. He was formerly a rocket scientist from NASA, but we're going to talk about that as well. Entrepreneur and business growth strategist with over 20 years experience in directing organizations of cross-functional teams of engineers and data scientists to develop and implement revenue-generated advanced technologies in innovation product portfolios, digital transformation, software as a service applications, and enterprise product lifecycle management. He's also a father, a very proud father and husband. Jay, welcome to A Breath of Fresh Career.
Thanks, Justin. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you. What is Revolutionary Integration Group in your own words? And tell us also about a disability-owned enterprise.
Sure. Yeah, we are, as you said, we are a disability-owned business enterprise. We are an early stage technology startup, artificial intelligence focused on AI-validated trust. We are focused really on looking and addressing problems for distributed heterogeneous networks of AI agents. So the story we like to tell is, AI over the past 15 to 20 years has been growing in its sophistication and complexity. Today, AI touches pretty much every market in every industry around the globe, and it's getting more complex as time goes on here, and advanced technologies are being developed every day, and the sophistication of AI is growing. So one of the things that's very important that I experienced in my career with autonomous systems, system of systems, developing new technologies, advanced technologies, disruptive technologies, is the way that in our case for AI and distributed networks, how trust is being handled and managed. So today the industry looks at trust through a zero trust model, and they look at that in terms of don't trust anything. And they have very sophisticated cybersecurity technologies and solutions that are out there today that are effective. Some are not so effective, but for the most part, there's a lot of very good technologies in cybersecurity that try and address some of the trust issues. We look at it from the inside out. So we look at it instead of stacking up cyber defense solutions that are going to protect your enterprise and protect your access. We are looking at it as, think of it in terms of brick and mortar. So you have a distributed network of AI agents, and those are all the bricks, and we are the mortar between the bricks. So we have a software as a service dynamic trust solution that we are providing out there into the market.
Very rudimentary experience on my end. And, if anybody's ever experienced problems logging into their online bank, right? I mean, you and I have talked a little bit about this, but and I'm sure you guys are much, much deeper in detail than this, but login name, password, text code, security code, email verification, we don't recognize this device. It's difficult to do that on, something as simple as getting into your own account for, your local bank. Tell us how Revolutionary Integration Group and your software works. You mentioned layering of different cybersecurity solutions. Talk to us a little bit about how it works, your solution works.
Sure. Yeah. So, today, just about any of these markets, financial services, healthcare, agriculture, connected car, autonomous vehicles, they're all dealing with, AI agents, distributed AI agents, and these complicated networks. And at the, application, the cloud, the network level, we're out there addressing, and in particular, the Internet of Things, mobile device management. Those are areas where we feel that our dynamic trust software as a service, is a right market for us. It's a good place for us because in IoT, for example, the trust from device to device, from agent to agent in these networks, very large networks, is not good. So, we know that communications across sensors, communications across devices, data going across those devices, access going across those devices, all important. And we have an approach to validate the trust level. We have a multi-level trust model that we apply in our solution, that we apply, and we use machine learning on the back end to reinforce and perform functional validation of the data going across, the access control, and that's an area where the market is looking for better solutions like that, more secure and safe solutions like that can give you the insurance that, hey, if I'm sending $10 to you, instead of just looking at the IP address and saying, yep, that's the correct IP address, there's a lot better ways to establish the trust that I am actually sending the money to you, Justin. It's not just looking at your IP address and saying, yep, that's the right place to go.
Okay. Venmo as an example. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things that are going on today in financial services, anti-money laundering, there's things, mobile banking, there's a lot of things that are being used today, large scale, small scale transactions that are thousands of times, a day or a minute or an hour. And it's really an area that needs more improved and better solutions, trust solutions to help those technologies and help the customers ensure that information is protected, that their data is being protected in terms of the transactions. The transactions are validated. So it's all a good area for us to be looking at as well.
You bring up a lot of really, really key industry terms, right? You talk about internet, IoT, Internet of Things. You talk about AI. You talk about, even business intelligence, et cetera. All these key terms, you guys are doing it. I mean, you guys are real. So at RIG, with your software solution, how'd you guys come up with this idea, you and your co-founder?
Yeah, so both of us have similar backgrounds. Brian Halasek, my business partner, and I, we both have 20 plus years in defense and intelligence contracting. And we've been involved in running projects, programs, portfolios, and organizations for advanced technology development, innovation product portfolios, where you're building out advanced technology solutions and then integrating them into large scale platforms.
Sure.
And there's a lot of things in and around technology integration that is not technical, that you have to be aware of and looking at. And that's, from a security perspective, computer security, information security, information assurance, the architecture that you're building around, the cloud, the application, the network, all of those things are instrumental today in, deploying advanced technologies and things you have to be aware of. And, we look at it from, where's the trust? How rigorous is the trust being handled and treated in these distributed networks of AI agents?
Sure.
So yeah, that's what we've been focused on.
You're the CEO, you're the co-founder over there. Tell us about your day in the life, right? And the role you play as CEO.
Sure. It's typically we're a team too. It's not just Jay Modi out there. It's Jay and Brian and Steve and Amelia. So we have we have full transparency, good communication. Every day we tag up. We look at what's normal things that people do. You got your to-do lists, you got your actions, you got your priorities, you got your business focus. We're developing out the product. We're in early stage. We're looking to raise capital to help us build out the business, to build out our technology solution, and coming up with different approaches to differentiate ourselves from other companies. And we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Yeah. I'm happy to introduce our internship and intern and cooperative research program that has helped us in many ways. And we'll talk about that when you're ready. But yeah, day in life is all about priorities. Focused on our priorities, focused on what we need to do that day, that moment, that week, and mitigating, challenges. Things come up that we have to deal with.
Technology
networking.
issues.
Yeah. So
yeah.
no, it's been good. We got a great team. We really do. We have a great team. We all work together well, and that's one of the biggest parts about startup companies is you could have super talented people, and if you can't work together and you can't communicate and you can't collaborate and you can't coordinate, it makes it difficult.
Yeah. Well, I think the same thing. I could not do what I do today without our small team here as well. I mean, my researcher Carrie's amazing. Michael Cavalier, who's a recruiter for me, is also equally as amazing, and just great people to be around. Although I'm not with them day to day, it's more over video, and we use Microsoft Teams and all that good stuff to communicate. But let's take a step back to take a giant leap forward. You got your start, it looks like, just looking at your background, right, at NASA as a research engineer. So how'd you get your start? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, when you start your career out of college and grad school, sometimes you think, this is where I'm going to be. This is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. And you're 22, 25 and bulletproof, right? So you're learning on the fly. And I started at a terrific place like NASA, and worked there. And then, as things go out throughout your career, you want to look at different opportunities, different challenges. I decided, after time there, to move out into Fortune 500, big corporate, and got started there. And it's, you get surrounded with people with so many different backgrounds, and you start working in the workforce with people at all different talent levels, senior level people, junior level people at your own level. So I think that was probably the most exciting part about, in your young career. You come out of college and grad school and you pretty much think you're going to solve world hunger. But then you get introduced into the workforce and into these companies, and that's where you start finding areas where your value is, you're understanding your own value, you're understanding what you're good at. And then, taking on challenges, being assertive, working in good team environments, trying to be team leaders. Those are things that got me excited, is leading teams, coming up with new approaches and different ways to look at problem solving, addressing challenging problems, priorities for the businesses, when I was younger. And then throughout my career, same thing there, from team to project to division to organization. It's just, if that's the track that you're going to be on, surround yourself with the right resources, making sure that you get feedback and collaboration with anybody on your team, from the most junior to the most senior, because that's a good lesson for anybody. Is doesn't matter who you are, your contributions can be very valuable to problem solving and looking at some of the challenges that you deal with every day.
You bring up a really good point about, graduating from college and thinking you're going to solve, world hunger. And I jump around a little bit, but, like keeping with the motto of a breath of fresh career and entrepreneurship, what advice would you give someone wanting to pursue a career similar to yours?
Great question. It's something today, especially, where college is sort of a semi-automatic thing for a lot of people. And then, when I was going through college, and I automatically knew, not automatically, but I wanted to go to grad school. I wanted to do that. I wanted to take my knowledge and experience in math and physics and apply it in a specific discipline. And,
wow.
That's where I believed I wanted to go. And along the way, you just become ensconced in technology. So that's how I,
especially these days, right? I mean, like,
that's right.
Everywhere.
That's right.
I mean, it's like everywhere.
Yeah. When don't you go somewhere without your phone? And then when you don't have your phone, you feel like you feel like you're out of touch. And you
Holy
feel
cow.
like,
I mean, yeah, you leave the house and you're like, oh my God, I forgot my phone. I actually enjoy it, to be honest with you. Well, I don't know, a couple months ago, I left the house without the phone for one of my kids' hockey games. And it was like the most relaxing experience I've had in a long time, just because I wasn't connected.
Yeah.
I mean, we live this connected life, and, tying back into, to revolutionary integration group and trust, right? I mean, it's like, these mobile devices and our connectivity, it needs to be trusted. So I think you guys are definitely onto something. What is the hardest thing for you to do to get accomplished today as CEO of Revolutionary Integration Group? What's the hardest thing? Is it fundraising? Is it selling the idea? Is it wrangling your team? Is it what we're going to talk about this in a minute, the intern and cooperative research program? Like, what's the hardest thing for you to get accomplished?
Fundraising is always challenging, but it's part of the ingrained nature of, new companies, startup companies,
Startups,
startup businesses. So you just got to be ready to embrace that and navigate those waters. So that's definitely a part of it. Now we have, like I said, we have a terrific team. So our team energy, our team drive is off the charts. So we're all passionate, persistent, we're persevering through all these different bumps in the road and some dead ends here and there. And, you have to be ready to navigate that stuff. You have to be ready to deal with that, whether it's a good opportunity that you really felt confident was going to come through, or whether it's something that you didn't even expect was going to happen, and it happens and all of a sudden it's in front of you.
And so, sometimes those are the best ones. It's crazy.
Sometimes,
really.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes those are the best ones.
We're going to introduce, I have a feeling we're going to be blessed with Amelia's presence in a moment. Your trusted, assistant and right-hand woman, to talk about the intern and research program. With the raise of capital, what would you do let's say startup funding, you guys got the startup funding, I don't know, a couple $1 million, like, what would some of the first things that you spend some of that money on? Is it engineers? Is it managers to manage the engineers? Like, what do you see yourself utilizing that funding for?
Yeah, great question. I think, what we believe as a company is our engineering is the most essential thing initially to get underway. Fully building out our product and commercializing our product is going to be first and foremost. Also making sure that, our solution approach, is lined up with our customer needs. It's all about the customer, right? So we could build out some fantastic solutions here, but what's important is what we're building aligns up with what the customers are asking for, what the customers' needs are, and making sure that the use of our solution is easy to use, is effective and efficient, and is, like I said, scratching the itch and making sure customers are happy with what they're going to get, and building out something that's going to be meaningful in the technology market, and something that is going to be scalable and extensible for us to build out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Talking about your cooperative research program, intern program, can you give me an overview of that intern and cooperative research program?
I can, but I have somebody who's much better at it than I am.
Let's hear it.
So Amelia Jagura is my business partner, and she's the program manager. And I'll have her give you a little highlights of our intern and cooperative research program.
Awesome. Hi, Amelia.
Just slide over.
Okay.
Yeah.
Slide over here.
All right. Hi.
Hi. Welcome to the
You
show.
can come back over here. We can both fit in the screen.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I started with Jay, we were doing a bunch of things, and I really saw this need for creativity kind of in the company. You have these 3 guys running the company, and when you pull in interns, it's really helpful because they're fresh out of college. They have all these fresh ideas, and you can pull new use cases for their technologies. Which has been really fun. So we've been pulling, financial sector, the healthcare sector. They've got great ideas. We have three main parts to our program. So we have data analytics, data science, we have business analytics, and then we have a machine learning, artificial intelligence, machine learning interns, so software engineering interns.
Yep. So really quickly, question on that. So
Yeah.
are they applying those three different categories to each case study that they're researching? How does that work? How does that work?
Yeah, so they're taking the technologies from RAG, so dynamic trust, Nimbus, and then they're creating basically use cases around those case studies, whether, like I said, whether it's in healthcare, whether it's in financial services, and they're just, like I said, they're coming out of college, they have these fresh new ideas that we've never even thought about, and really making, prototypes, demonstrations. So it's a 3-month-long program, typically a semester long.
Okay.
We work with them each week. We have meetings with them. They talk about their progress through the week. They meet with us monthly, and they'll give us a whole presentation on what they've accomplished that month, issues they've ran into. We help them mitigate those issues. What's really great for them too is we get to bring in our advisory board. So our advisory board always loves to listen to the students, kind of give them their feedback and real world knowledge on these projects.
So
the students will really take interest in that and really incorporate it into their projects.
So these projects are, this is great, by the way, this is because this is the future, right? I would say intern entrepreneurs, right? Who are interested in kind of doing, and by the way, interested in doing the same thing you guys are doing, but like, I don't drive a connected car. Yes, we have our iPhone or mobile devices with us all the time, so we're connected that way, but like, I don't know much about, connected agriculture and stuff. So these use cases are definitely important with regards to the future of RIG. When an intern starts, are they handed like, this is the project you're going to be doing, these are the points we want you to cover, this is the goal? How does that work? Or do they just come up with it and say, listen, I'm going to talk about, apps and like how apps need to be trusted? Is it just the wild?
Yeah, we talk about this every day. This is literally a daily conversation for us. But so we, funny enough, we started the summer of 2020. So kind of, main COVID, we started this internship, and a lot of students at the time were really interested in utilizing healthcare use cases because obviously COVID-19 was huge. So a lot of students have built out great projects and use cases that other students, down the road have found really interesting and they'll pursue. So, like you were saying, autonomous vehicles has been a big one for us. Healthcare has been a huge one for us.
Let me just tell you something really, it's so important because I was actually, I forget where I was, and I was with our son. He's 14 years old, and there was a guy standing to the left of us, and up pulls a Tesla. And I'm like, what? There's nobody in there, but think about that for a second. Like, let's say it pulls up to the wrong guy, or somebody hacks into this thing and they got a Tesla and they're off to,
Yeah. They don't have dynamic trust on board.
Yeah,
you gotta have trust. You gotta have trust.
It's funny. We had a student that you mentioned. So she pulled her use case from saying, we get all these ads, me and my girlfriends, we were talking about boots. Brown boots specifically, and all of a sudden I went on Facebook and all the ads I had were brown boots.
Oh yeah, brown boots. I know. It's so crazy. We went. My wife and I went to pick up our son last weekend in Maine, and we stayed at this beautiful little inn, right? And we're home, and of course Alexa's in the kitchen, and we're talking. She's like, "Would you ever manage an inn like this? Like, how would we be, I could do the cooking and you could maintain the property and you could sit there with your, Jay knows I like these gin and tonic and, have a bonfire." I'm getting emails about inns for sale.
Exactly.
Yep.
What?
Yeah.
Like I email Cindy and I'm like, we are unplugging our Alexa, it's like, this is just so scary. So,
well, one thing to mention, which we're very proud of, Amelia has built this program in 1 year from 5 universities to over 20.
Wow, that's
So,
huge.
yeah,
Has,
it's
has
fantastic.
COVID and remote work helped you with that?
Yeah, it's been really ideal for the program, in my opinion. I think we're really able to utilize great universities across the country. I mean, we don't have to pigeonhole ourselves into, only universities in Connecticut or in New England. And, it's been great.
We get applications from everywhere.
Yeah, California,
all over the country.
Florida,
Wow.
Connecticut, New England.
Are
But
they
it's been
doing
really
this
great. The
during-
students get to collaborate with other universities and peers that they may not have ever been able to work with.
Yeah, it's almost like your solution in the mortar between all the bricks, right? You're casting that net. What question? So remote Zoom or whatever, we're on Zoom right now, so I just brought that up. So how much interaction is there between you guys, the intern, these other interns? Do they have group meetings? Do they talk about their findings? Do they say, hey, we're finding that this is working, we're finding that this isn't? Like how, what's the
that's a
interaction?
great question. So, Amelia has really set up a good business rhythm with the whole program. And there's weekly tag ups with her. There's weekly tag ups with the senior management team. There's, as needed tag ups with our scientific advisors. And that's on a project by project or a student by student basis. So we want those students to get the experience to work for a startup AI company. We're dealing with cutting edge problems in the market. We're building out a cutting edge solution, but we want them to feel like they have hands on. So when Amelia says they're coming up with these great use cases, they're not just doing that. They're taking those use cases and they're building them into prototypes. So literally demonstrations of that use case, applying our dynamic trust software as a service into that environment and showing what the value is in these prototypes.
And this could be the future of RIG.
Yeah, it definitely can be. But the research that they're doing is really, we're hard chargers. They're fast-paced projects. We have a pretty well-oiled machine in terms of onboarding and process and implementation and reporting. Very lightweight and fast. And we use a lot of technologies that's out there in the market. We use Signal as a platform for communication. It's encrypted, so we like that. And we use Smartsheets to share documentation. So there's technologies that we use to help the program in terms of communication and collaboration. But you have these guys meeting like every day, right?
Yeah, I try and get them to meet, every day or every other day as much as possible. This is 100% virtual. So we want communication. I kind of drill that into them, the first couple of weeks. You guys aren't together. You're not able to come into the office and talk to me and Jay, whenever you want. So tools that we have like Signal are really, really great because we were saying earlier, you always have your phone on you. So, if they need to get to me, ask a question, need to get to Jay, need to get to one of their fellow, peers, they can do it right away and get a quick response back as opposed to email, which can sometimes get lost.
So I was going to originally ask, in keeping with the theme of A Breath of Fresh Career, about some of the key characteristics you look for when you're interviewing candidates. Let's talk about these interns, Amelia and Jay alike. Like, what are some of the key characteristics you look for when an intern reaches out and they're interested in coming on Revolutionary Integration Group, Inc.?
Yeah, well, you would imagine, like, we get a lot of applications, and
I'm sure
the first round of applications, the first filtering Amelia does is she does a better job than I do after the first round of filtering. So we've had many students that have applied that I take a look at the resume and I'm like, maybe, and we divide things up into good fits, possible fits, not very good fits. But even the not very good fits, surprisingly, sometimes we bring those people into the program and they're really good students. They're good performers. They do a great job on their project. They're innovative. They're creative. And you wouldn't expect it based on either their degree or what is valuable during the interview process is hearing from the student, because a lot of them have similar backgrounds. Some or many of them have similar degrees. But the project work that they do, and the internships that they do for other companies, And some of them already have degrees and they're working on their master's degree or their second master's degree or their PhD, and they want this experience. And I'll select my top candidates and Amelia will select her top candidates, and often they're not the same.
Okay.
So it's valuable for us to compare and contrast that. And Brian as well, we'll take a look at those and we'll all kind of say, hey, you know what, these are all good fits. But these are not sure about these guys, but we go through the interview process and we learn a lot about them. We do some of the things we like, right, Amelia? We like creativity.
We love
energy.
the creativity. We love the energy. We had a couple of interviews recently and they came in and they were like, oh, I read all the blogs on your blog, site, and I'm really excited. I already have ideas. I already know what I want to write about, so we want them to come in with energy. We want them to be excited to work on these projects. We want them to be excited about the program and to work with RIG. So that is a huge factor when we're interviewing as well.
So when somebody says that stuff, are you like, stop? Okay. Tell us about what you want to write about. Like, is that,
absolutely.
Is that what you
it makes all the difference. One of the recent interviews we had really caught on to all of the interest in healthcare. And he was like, is this a theme? And we were like, no, it's just what's going on right now in the world and what people want to, talk about.
So creativity, energy, what else is important for you to see or hear when you're interviewing somebody in their profile? Like what's the catch?
Yeah, we mentioned the collaboration and the communication part.
Yes.
So we do like to hear the students ask about team environments, because the majority of our projects are teams. And then we like to hear about their experience in a team environment, because that's what makes those projects so successful, is when you get a good team and everybody's working together, everybody has their own area of responsibility, and they're communicating and they're collaborating. And every project runs into road bumps and speed bumps, and every project has its own challenges. But we really love it when those teams have that good communication and they're working together effectively. And that's why Amelia has all her tag ups, because she helps them navigate through, some of that turbulence.
Oh yeah.
Because you can spin your wheels if you don't have a little bit of guidance and you don't have somebody pushing you. There's not that much time in the schedule. And that's some of the things, I think that's some of the most valuable lessons that we hear back from the students. Is writing a project plan is one thing, but implementing and following a schedule that changes throughout the course of your project, that's really important. And I think that's one of the biggest lessons that the students learn, is how to manage a project, how to conduct the project,
how to manage their time, really.
Manage their time,
this is like real world application.
Yeah.
This is your project's due at this time. You have this many weekly activity reports due. You have this many monthly activity reports due. Real world.
Yep. And sometimes stuff doesn't get done. A task may not get done. May not get done on time. So plan for it. Plan around it. Come up with a different.
This is the first time for a Breath of Fresh career that I feel like I kind of have like two CEOs on the phone. Jay, the CEO of Revolutionary Integration Group, and Amelia, kind of the CEO of this intern program. So like, I'd love to hear from both of you guys. How do you motivate these guys? Are you really looking for people who are self-motivated? And it goes right along with, the engineers that you guys hire full-time and, the management folks. So like, I'd love to hear from both y'all.
Okay. I'll give you one quick nugget, and I'm sure Amelia has 20.
Okay.
But this past week, I had a sidebar call with one of the interns because he's interested in continuing on to the fall program, and I just checked in with him on things, and I said, hey, how do you like things as they're going here, and just having a general discussion with him. And he said, he mentioned another student in his team. He's like, I love this because, he's really good at X, Y, and Z. And every time I hear him present that week, the following week, I make sure that I'm as good as that or better. Right.
Wow.
So it's a little friendly competition, right? They get motivated by one another. They also get motivated by past projects. So Amelia, you post a lot of past projects and see what other teams have accomplished. So the bar is pretty high. So they come in not knowing anything and, go through the onboarding process and ramping up process, but they get exposed to all the previous projects and they get very motivated right away at the beginning of the program.
Yeah, they get really excited. Back to the team thing, teams really push each other. And I see it all the time with a bunch of teams that we've had. Sometimes there's somebody who's really knowledgeable back end, but they need a little push. And, that's what's great about the team, the dynamic of everyone. We have a team, really great team right now, Venue Trust. They all push each other to do the best, to do their best. And, they're all in different areas, front end, back end, working on different pieces. But yeah, I think team environments for most of these students is great and it pushes them.
Yeah.
Do you ever have multiple interns working on one project together, or is it just so they've created like this pod?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, for example, if they're developing like a prototype app, we need somebody on the front end who kind of knows like the design work and kind of putting that all together. And then you have the back end, so the functionality of it. So how is it going to work if you push a button?
Technical folks. These are okay.
Yes.
What about like, and I'm just throwing this out there, like I'm a sales guy, right? Technical. Do you guys have somebody in that pod who's really good at presenting and like really good at,
that naturally, exactly. So that naturally shakes out. So every single project we have, there's always somebody who ends up being the talker, literally the lead.
Do you know because how much that must help?
They got good presentation skills, they're good presenters and they're good communicators.
And they might not even have known that they were.
Right.
We
also, one thing that's important is we also, we have those three big categories Amelia mentioned: data science, data analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and then we have business analytics. One of the things that Amelia does very effectively is if there's students over working projects in AI and ML to build out a simulation and a use case for financial services and fraud detection, and there's someone over in business analytics doing their project on financial services and fraud, we connect the dots. So we say, hey, by the way, there's two other projects over here that are also working in that financial services area, doing fraud, collaborate. And what ends up happening is there's a lot of complementary value across those projects. The business analytics team and those technical teams doing what they do. And we all see the value there because they learn a lot from one another. Their projects end up being more well-rounded and more comprehensive.
Sure. That's great. So let's talk a little bit about this. What are you guys seeing? Jay, what are you seeing in the industry?
Yeah, I mean, this is why we do it, right? We're doing this intern and cooperative research program because you're infusing, fresh talent. And as Amelia said, the super creative ideas, super creative concepts, because the industry is changing constantly. It's, technology is being developed every day, disruptive technology every day, advanced technology every day. How those different market sectors assess and adopt those technologies and build those out to provide their customers with better solutions, more cost-effective solutions, and help their businesses grow. The easiest thing to do is to say advanced technology is the way to go. It's not just advanced technology. You have your people, you have culture. Your company has a culture. You have to adopt the technology and in a sensible and efficient way that says, hey, if we bring on board this technology, this better, change the compass needle for us. We want to be able to increase our market share. We want to provide better solutions for our customers. And we also want to be extensible and scalable because right behind this technology, there's more technology coming. So it's a cycle, and it's something that's especially now, there's so many technology providers out there coming up with great ideas. It's just a matter of finding the best fit for your company, for your business, for your customers, and making sure that you're positioning yourself for success for the future.
Yeah.
Easy to say that, but we really mean it. And we know that there's also people. There's a human being aspect. The big concern with AI, is hey, you're taking away jobs. Are all your advances in technology going to take away jobs? And I don't look at it that way. I definitely look at it in terms of providing people with better tools, better solutions, better processes, automation, making people's jobs more effective, making them more efficient at their jobs, more safe at their jobs as well.
You know, when we first introduced Amelia, we were talking about RIG, and I think two different solutions. She mentioned two different solutions. We haven't spoken a lot about the second one. Are you working on any other projects? And maybe this is a good opportunity to talk about that other piece with regards to what RIG offers.
You know, as an entrepreneur, right? So always looking at business to business relationships, strategic partnerships. I do some consulting, CTO consulting on the side as well. You know, consulting and advanced technologies are kind of intertwined in some aspects of my life. But yeah, very important, you know, and you know, we like to look at not only moving forward with our solution approach from RIG, but you know, what types of services can we provide out there for companies that are looking to assess and evaluate, hey, if we bring on board AI, how's that gonna help our enterprise? How's that gonna help our product line? How's that gonna help our people? And there's a lot that goes in there. There's a lot to assess and evaluate and determine what's going to be best for your business and your customers.
So does all this, and I might be speaking out of turn here, but does all this apply to your like open source state? Talk a little bit about you've created this database, or the database. I forget the last conversation we had, and I don't have my notes in front of me. There are two different solutions that RIG offers, right? One is this trusted solution, correct?
Oh, yeah. The second is it's a private network cloud approach. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
private
have
network. Okay.
private network cloud with OpenAI.
And what's that called?
Nimbus.
Nimbus. That's what you mentioned, Amelia. Nimbus. Yeah. And I wanted to bring that up. Okay. So that's on the forefront as well. Do you have any of these interns working on that solution as well?
Yeah, we do. We've begun to have them get involved there as well. And it's very much intertwined with our dynamic trust software as a service. So we do have students working on both.
Okay, got it. Now, for both you guys, and Amelia, you've been there for just under 3 years working with Jay. What advice can both you guys give to our listeners? Work, life, entrepreneurship, etc. Like, wax poetic here. This is your opportunity to shine.
Well, I'll give you my thoughts, and then Amelia might have quite a different thought. That's the work-life balance when you're an entrepreneur is hard to manage. You know, you could be sitting at a pool, having a cocktail, and your phone is going, and you're sending texts, and your email's open, and you got a Zoom meeting going on. And, you know, so it is important to protect, you know, I always feel it's important to protect and separate, you know, work-life balance, but it's harder and harder to do nowadays because technology is so easy to use. It's everywhere. You're carrying it around with you. You're wearing it, for God's sakes, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's important. And, you know, I'm taking some time off next week, and, you know, I'm trying not to schedule anything during that week. And it's you can rationalize it. And sometimes you just have to say, hey, I need to take these days off. And
I think people are starting, and maybe it's because of this pandemic, but I think people are starting to appreciate it. Like, hey, I'm not working next week, so let's look at the week after next to have a call. I mean,
right.
I hate to say this, we're not saving bodies on the table here. If we were, we couldn't take a week off. We'd have to go save bodies, but you know, recruiting can wait a week. You know, technology can essentially wait a week, right? It's not wait too long because other people are going to catch up, but that's great. The balance. Amelia, did you want to add anything?
You know, I'm recently out of grad school, so I think a big thing for a lot of us of recent graduates, you have to really like what you do, and sometimes you have a degree and you might not use it, and that's okay. And I think a lot of people struggle with that because, you know, we're sitting here with a lot of debt and wondering what we're going to do. Are we going to use our degree? And, you know, it's okay if you don't, but you have that degree and nobody can ever take away that education that you earned.
Yeah, by the way, I'm in the same boat. I went to school. I got a second degree at Penn State University and State College, and you're gonna laugh, but it's in golf course turf grass management. I can grow grass anywhere. You got to see my lawn. It's the nicest lawn.
Wow.
Nice.
But no, all I do is play golf now. I do nothing with it.
Yeah, I got my master's in biomedical health science. I'm in artificial intelligence. So,
There you go.
Okay.
you know,
We can probably apply the two somewhere.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah. Jay likes that idea.
that's why I love the healthcare use cases. Bring them on.
Okay, all right. So where is it best for our listeners to connect with you? And let's just say we have a young listener who wants to get involved in an internship, how do we want these folks to get in touch with you? Should I list email addresses, LinkedIn profiles? How do we want to do this?
Yeah, both. We also have our intern page off of our website.
Okay.
So that's a great way to learn a lot about our program. And we have a blog page as well to learn about blogs that people have written. And then LinkedIn is great to reach out to us. RIG has a LinkedIn. Jay and I both have LinkedIn's. Email is great.
Okay. Amelia, can you send me a link to that intern page?
I absolutely can. Yeah.
And then I'm going to put those in the body of this podcast, both the video version as well as the podcast version. By the way, it's on every podcast platform, out there, which is great. But this has been awesome. Is there anything else I should have asked you guys, but didn't?
No, this is great. I would, just wanted to thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk with you and share a little bit of our story, share a little bit of our journey. The thing I like to tell people when they ask about RIG's journey and my experience is, lessons learned. You can learn a lot from failure. You can learn a lot from success. I think it's a blend of those two, and you just have to, keep driving ahead. You have to persevere. You have to be persistent. You have to have the passion, right, to want to do it, and wake up every day and make sure you're happy with what you're doing. The worst thing could be waking up and not being happy with what you want to do, and that's super important in my opinion.
Really good advice. Really cool. God. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't wait to follow you all on the RIG journey. I can't wait to get that email or that note or see that update about the funding you guys are going to get and some of the new direction you're taking the company. I'm excited to follow that.
Yeah. Thanks again, Justin. Appreciate
All right,
it.
guys.
Thanks.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
Bye.
Hey.